Whoops, did the wrong order there. But hey guys, this is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our team builder for Week 8 of the NCL Season 3, taking on our good buddy Shade and the Calgary Talonflames. Uh, I say that a lot. I'm friends with everyone in the league, honestly. That's how I build the league, is with my friends, and it's good competition. So Shade is in our conference. He is, I believe, the last in-conference match we play for the entire season, which makes this probably the most important match we play to finish out our season here. So we're going to try our best to win. I got some feedback on this team. It went through about 4 different reworks, and I'm really hoping that it ends up working out, just because this win means a lot. That's essentially what it comes down to, is this win means a lot for how playoffs is going to stack up. If I lose, Shade is then tied with me in record, and I'll be fighting a 3-way battle for that last playoff spot, which I'm not confident in considering our Week 9 opponent. So I'm really hoping I win. That's kind of what it comes down to. Shade's a good opponent. He's 4-3. He's played the same competition we have, really, and that's just what it comes down to, is that we need to pull off a win against Shade here and move forward with our season. So let's run through his team here. He is Mew, Alolan Ninetales, Crobat, Zygarde 10%, Cofagrigus, Zangoose, Mega Gallade, Xurkitree, Shaman, Blastoise, and Bisharp. That Mew, Alolan Ninetales core that we had on our first place regular season's team last year is what Shade ended up taking in the beginning of the draft there for himself. His priority options: Mew gets Vacuum Wave, Ninetales gets Ice Shard, Zydog gets E-Speed, Zangoose gets Quick Attack, Gallade gets Shadow Sneak, Bisharp gets Sucker Punch, and Blastoise gets Aqua Jet. Hazard setting in Mew with Rocks, Cofagrigus with T-Spikes, and Bisharp with Rocks. So very few Stealth Rockers, which is very good actually, considering how generally weak my team is to Stealth Rocks, or what I generally bring is weak to Stealth Rocks, considering Entei's come to a ton of games, so is Torn. Removal options: Mew with Defog, Crobat with Defog, and Blastoise with Rapid Spin. Again, very few removal-ish options, so I feel I can get a decent hazards up on him as well. And then 4 times weaknesses in Ninetales to Steel. I am not covering this one. I'm not covering that with any coverage this week. Zydog to Ice, which I actually think I'm not covering either. And Bisharp to Fighting, which I am covering. I am covering the Fighting weakness. His Fighting weakness on Bisharp is covered up pretty well with the Crobat, the Cofagrigus, the Mew, and the Gallade. But with Zangoose being weak to Fighting as well, it's worthwhile just to have some Fighting coverage on there. In terms of Steel, it's not really worth it outside of just trying to nuke the Ninetales behind Veil still. And then Ice for the Zydog, again, it's not super worth. There's other coverage options that work better. Flying, for example, his only flying resist on the entire team is Bisharp, which is not a very good flying resist, if you ask me. So we're covering that a little bit here with my squad. So let's get right into things here then. First up is Diggersby. This was originally a Scarf set and got changed around quite a bit. Big ups to Ben for helping me out so much. Also Jed. Both of them gave a lot of good suggestions, and we ended up settling on this. So I am a Focus Sash Diggersby, lead Diggersby with Spikes, Endeavor, Quick Attack, and Earthquake. Basically, I'm slower than a lot of the team, and that means that my lead matchup against something like Mew, I can get an Endeavor off on it, and then Endeavor into Quick Attack kills a lot of stuff. If Cofagrigus comes in, I just get to spike up on it over and over and over and over again, or Earthquake, or just swap, honestly, on the Cofagrigus as well. There's other options here that I'd like to get in against the Cofagrigus, and so that's sort of what I'm playing around with Diggersby. The Endeavor Quick Attack. I'm really... Okay, so I guess I should go over what I'm expecting and not. So I'm not really expecting the Mega Gallade, the Shaman, or the Zangoose. Surprisingly, I'm not expecting the Mega Gallade, which shouldn't make a lot of sense, but I do think that he's going to struggle against the Mega Latios. His team in general struggles pretty hard against the Mega Latios. I think he has to bring Mew. I think he has to bring Bisharp, and he has to bring Ninetales. I also think Blastoise kind of has to come, and I think Crobat kind of has to come. That's 5. Zangoose and Shaman sort of stand out as not wanting to come there for me. Xurkitree could come. It could very much come, actually. Xurkitree has a very good matchup here. Zydog could come, and Mega Gallade Cofagrigus can kind of come in the last slot there too. Again, I really don't think Zangoose is coming. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me why Zangoose would want to come, especially against double fighting, especially against Kinkeldor. when you bring in against a really good fighting type, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm wondering if Bisharp is going to be threatened by the Conkeldurr, but I really do think he needs it for the Mega Latias. So that's why I'm sort of hesitant on a few of the mons here. I don't think he's definitely got the matchup. I also don't think I definitely have the matchup either. It's definitely a struggle for him. And if we're being honest here, Rotom Frost looked really good, and I'll talk about this after the match, but Rotom Frost sort of handles a few of his threats that I would be a lot less confident in, and that might threaten something like a Blastoise away, just by having Rotom Frost on the team. So we'll sort of see. Just because I brought Z-Move Rotom Frost last week, I think he might be a little bit wary of Z-Move Rotom. Yeah, so Diggersby, I'm outspeeding Modest Xurkitree with this speed investment, so I can always Earthquake it, or Endeavor Quick Attack it. It really doesn't matter. Quick Attack's still doing a lot of damage because of huge power, so it's worthwhile to save Quick Attack in the back. Gallade cannot hit me with priority, so Quick Attack will always get a hit off on the Gallade first, because it only gets Shadow Sneak, and it can't hit me. I'm not denting the Cofagrigus that much with this set, if I'm being honest, so I'm kind of hoping that he's specially defensive. He's probably going to... If I had to guess, Cofagrigus would come for my double fighting, and it would be physically defensive for the double fighting, and it would likely be Colbur for the Pangoro, because I think Pangoro looks decent, despite him having the Ninetales and Mew, which can very easily run Dazzling Gleam. Same with Xurkitree, running Dazzling Gleam. I do think that that's a threat that I could deal with. Excuse me. Keeping the Sash intact on the Diggersby is also very helpful. It doesn't have to be a Sash lead, but keeping the Sash intact to revenge kill a setup Xurkitree is definitely very important, especially for like a Z Hypnosis set. I can always put something, I can always sleep fodder something else and then go into this. In theory, I think I would probably most likely want to sleep fodder the Mega Latias, just because it doesn't have the best time here. I'm bringing more of a supportive Mega Latias. We'll get to that in a second when I get over there. So next up is the Whimsicott. Moonblast, Defog, Encore, U-Turn. I can always Encore the Xurkitree into Tail Glow and then Moonblast its face in. That's definitely a really good strategy for me. Defog makes sure that I get rid of his rocks and specifically his Toxic Spikes, which I feel like could wear down my Diancie quite a bit, and you'll see Diancie's at the end there. Diancie is definitely my win con this week, and that's what I'm playing around. U-Turn just to get in and out. Whimsicott's a decent lead option here as well. It checks the Zydog, and I'm bringing Kebiaberry in case he is Sludge Wave Zydog as well. I do think he would bring it, just because Zydog kind of has a good matchup against me. My only 1000 Arrows resist is the Whimsicott, and obviously I'm 4 times weak to the Sludge Wave that it could get, so it's a worthwhile bring on his part, but I've got it covered with Kebiaberry there. Besides that, Crobat using a Poison type move, although it probably shouldn't. It should just use a Flying type move. Gallade with Poison Jab, maybe. I don't know what else would want to use Poison move on his team, really. That's really about it, actually. Excuse me, so that's what we're covering. Almost max speed in the Whimsicott. I'm outspeeding Zydog. Max HP, a little bit of special attack to boost the Moonblast a little bit there. His team is very weak to Fairy. His only Fairy resist is the Crobat, and I'm hoping I can wear down the Crobat in other ways, or Encore and Defogs, things like that. Tornadus is next. This set has changed so much. The only constant on this set was Taunt and the Speed Creep. So we'll talk about those first. Taunt shuts down Auroraville Ninetales, shuts down Mew, shuts down Cofagrigus, it shuts down an ST Bisharp, it shuts down an ST Mega Gallade, and I think I threatened out Mega Gallade anyways. It shuts down Leech Seed Shaman, it shuts down, well, I'm not really going to be concerned about the Xurkitree, but that's kind of what Taunt is there for. Speed creeping, I am outspeeding Zydog, it's the fastest thing I can speed creep. Let's get to the rest of the set. Initially, this was Taunt, Toxic, U-Turn, and Defog. And it was very supportive Tornadus with a lot of bulk, and Ben sort of opened my eyes a little bit to how good Tornadus can be offensively this week, rather than a defensive, weird Tornadus that I was bringing. Hurricane, with this much investment, will one-shot Mega Gallade running no bulk, just 4 Speed F. And I think he has to speed time Megalodios, and I think he would want to speed time Megalodios. You'll note when we get to Megalodios that I'm not actually running max speed, and I'm just trying to be physically defensive to handle, whatever I can. Excuse me. Especially physical Mew, which he has leaned towards in general. Yeah, but I am Fly Z, so Z Hurricane basically gets a kill. The only thing it won't kill maybe is the Xurkitree, and I'm actually going to calc that because Xurkitree has pretty poor bulk. Unless he's like AV, and then I could definitely see it being a thing. AV, I would be okay with AV Xurkitree though, if we're being honest. I'm not as scared of an AV Xurkitree. Excuse me. So Z Hurricane is doing 56 to 66 to a no bulk Xurkitree, and that is his one flying resist on his entire team. Outside of Bisharp, sorry. I should say Bisharp's a flying resist as well, which is what we have Superpower there for. Superpower will OHKO Bisharp because I am hasty and not timid. I don't need the defense investment. I still live a Sucker Punch from unboosted Bisharp, and Superpower is able to deal with that. U-turn just to get in and out. This is likely my lead option as well. Although if he brings Crobat, I would imagine he's going to lead Crobat. That is maybe a bad situation for me, especially if he is like banded Crobat. So I might end up leading Megalodios. We'll sort of see how the tables fall there. But that's Tornadus-Therian. Again, Z Hurricane blows a lot of stuff back. It's a nice big nuke for the Mew and things like that. And like I said, this Hurricane will one-shot the Mega Gallade with only 4 in SpDef, and will it one-shot Shaman? It is a roll to one-shot, no bulk Shaman. So that is sort of what we're playing with there. Next up is Megalodios. Again, very supportive set with Calm Mind, Mono, Psyshock. I can't deal with the Bisharp with this set, and I decided I didn't want to. Just a fully physically defensive set. It's able to take on Mega Gallade very well. It takes on the Crobat decently well, and if I were to run SpDef, I'm still not really handling Xurkitree with Dazzling Gleam anyways. So I'm opting to run physically defensive just to sort of get a hit off on the Xurkitree at the very least, even though this is my Xurkitree resist for the most part. Whimsicott also functions in that capability, but it's sort of a secondary response to the Xurkitree as well. Just because Whimsicott can encore Xurkitree into something and Megalodios can get a hit off on it. Again, Bisharp is his only switch into Psyshock. This is my main way to super effectively deal with Crobat besides Diancie, which is my win con. Thunderwave spam is very strong. I don't really want to Thunderwave the Mew because then I'll get Thunderwaved back. But anything else I would love to Thunderwave, especially the Mega Gallade would be great to Thunderwave. The Shaman I'm not super concerned about because it's natural cure, so I don't really need to Thunderwave that. But getting it on the Alola Ninetales would be good too. Knowing my tendencies, he may opt to bring a Heal Beller in Mew, Ninetales, or an Aromatherapy user in the Shaman. I actually really wouldn't be surprised if he ended up bringing a Cleric against me, just because I'm sort of known to bring T-Wave spam. I hate that this one is so loud. I'm just moving on to the next song. It's so hard to hear my own thinking over that song. It's just, I'm sort of known for T-Wave spam, so he might end up bringing it. I've been playing around a lot with nifty Latias sets, because I have regular Latias in Mount Silver and Mega Latias here at the same time, so it's kind of cool to sort of see how it works as a Pokemon. But yeah, we're just entirely physically defensive. I actually didn't do my HP properly, so there we go. And I was running like min speed to speed type, no speed Mega Gallade, but I'm just going to run it in special attack instead. And I'll update this in my front office and whatnot afterwards. But Calm Mindset can do a lot of work. If the Bisharp is dead or doesn't come, then this Megalodios has a really good chance to kind of just like win. Because then there's nothing stopping it outside of Mew Calm Minding as well, but I have Psyshock, so Iron Defense Mew, I guess. This is obviously hitting Mega Gallade on the physical side, which is where it's weaker, so I am reasonably confident that this Megalodios can put in a lot of work if the Bisharp is dead or doesn't come. And hopefully I'm right for once in my life, and Megalodios doesn't fail me once again. It's been putting a lot of prep pressure on people, but it hasn't really performed in the games. Last week against Jet, it just got sacked. and I'm not confident in my use of Mega Latias at this point. I am bringing Banded Entei. Wow. Who would have thought that Ian brings Banded Entei? That's actually crazy. Sacred Fire, E-Speed, Toxic, and Return. Return breaks through the Blastoise, which is the main Sacred Fire resist. In fact, it is the only Sacred Fire resist on that entire team, besides Zydog, but Zydog doesn't want to switch in on Sacred Fires, whatever else. I've got Toxic on there for the Blastoise and the Cofagrigus as well, because obviously I need the Cofagrigus dead from my to be able to just sort of like extreme speed through stuff. Banded E-Speed really breaks the Zydog, it really breaks the Xurkitree. It's really powerful, actually. And obviously I had to be Event Entei for this extreme speed, so I have to be Adamant, which really sucks because I'd love to speed tie with Mew, but being Adamant is a little bit better for me this week. Only problem is Earth Power Shaman. Shaman can outrun Adamant Entei and Earth Power me and kill me. Well, can't kill me necessarily, but it'll do a lot of damage. If he's offensive, he can kill me. But I can break all of his slower stuff with this. I can eat a hit from something like Crobat and kill it with Sacred Fire. Eat a hit from the Ninetales, obviously. Ninetales has a really bad time trying to hit my Entei, and Sacred Fire will kill it through Veil, I believe, because Banded Entei is that strong. He's got a lot of stuff that doesn't want to switch in on this, and even if Mew switches in and gets burnt, that's even better, because then I can spread T-Wave everywhere else, and he can't synchronize the burn back to me. So, again, Return is what I'm using to break the Blastoise. I didn't realize Double Edge is an event move, or like Event Entei can't learn Double Edge for some reason, because I guess it learns it in a later gen, maybe. But initially I did have Banded Double Edge on here as a breaking move rather than Return, because it was stronger. But we're going with Return instead. I didn't want Flare Blitz. I wanted a better way to break the Blastoise, and this was mostly Ben's suggestion, because I did have Psych Up on here instead. In the case that I get knocked off by, he's got like 3 knockoff users, 4, 5 knockoff users, 6 knockoff users. He's got a lot of knockoff users, so I highly anticipated losing my band and then being able to Psych Up Xurkitree's stuff. I have a very niche Entei set that I would love to bring in playoffs if I play Shade, and so I'm not going to talk about it here. All the speed investment on the Entei is for Xurkitree. I outspeed Timid Xurkitree with this investment still, and I hit really hard with Adamant max attack. Last but not least, this DNC set has changed as well. I used to be Specs DNC, and now we're a Pixie Plate DNC. Power Gem, Rocks, Moonblast, and Rock Polish. I changed Endeavor for Rock Polish as well on the set. This is the win con. Honestly, he really has a bad time dealing with DNC, and I need a few things weakened. Mew and Shaman and Cofagrigus and Blastoise. I believe that's it. Everything else I one-shot? I think. I'm pretty sure I one-shot everything else except for those. And once I have a Rock Polish up with this speed investment, I'm outspeeding max speed Crobat at +2. Power Gem hits a lot of the stuff that Moonblast doesn't, i.e. Crobat. And it'll also hit the Alolan Ninetales for super effective damage, which will hopefully be able to OHKO it. Veil obviously needs to be gone as well, so there's a lot of workarounds and a lot of... It's going to be a strategic match, I think, moving around strategic pieces. Blastoise doesn't get recovery, so as a bulky water, it's not great. Cofagrigus doesn't get reliable recovery, it relies on Pain Split, and DNC has a very low base HP stat, so I can kind of like switch in on the Cofagrigus, and I can actually kind of set up a Rock Polish on the Cofagrigus as well. There's quite a bit that I can set up a Rock Polish on. Like the Zangoose doesn't do that much to me because it kind of relies on normal moves. Crobat I can set up a Rock Polish on. Cofagrigus I can set up a Rock Polish on. Bisharp I probably wouldn't, but I guess I could. He's been known not to bring Sucker Punch because people kind of play around that, so we'll see what happens. But Pixie Plate TNC secures some KOs with the Moonblast, and Moonblast is obviously my strongest attack, so I wanted to boost it with the Pixie Plate. I don't need to boost Power Gem to kill Crobat, and that's like the only reason I have that on there, because Moonblast deals with everything else, so I'm really hoping that this offensive DNC can put in a lot of work for me, because my lower tier Mons have kind of been doing a lot for me this season, and I'm looking forward to it. So let's run over what I'm not bringing. Conkeldurr, I was very much considering Conkeldurr. In fact, I was actually considering Scarf Conkeldurr, honestly. I was really considering Scarf Conkeldurr to outspeed the Mega Glade and get a big hit off. Also, outspeed Banded Zydog and get a hit off. I think I can outspeed those. That was sort of the idea with Scarf Conkeldurr. caught the Circuitry off guard as well, potentially. And Mach Punch was able to threaten the Bisharp, which was a big thing, as well as the Circuitry. I think Mach Punch is a big threat to his team, and he's got to play around that, which is, again, why I think Fires has to come. Tentacruel looked okay. He doesn't have a grounded poison, so T-Spikes were pretty good here, but it kind of suffers against, a Mon that's going to run Freeze Dry and a low Ninetales Mew, which is going to run Psychic coverage. This is double Psychic with Mega Blade. Zygarde 10, which kind of beats it. Circuitry, which beats it 1v1. Blastoise, which can 1v1 it and just Rapid Spin every time. Cofagrigus, which just sets up on it. Crobat, which taunts it. So lots sort of going against Tentacruel this week. Bronzong, again, same thing. I'm not confident against a really good Dark type with Bronzong there. It's kind of set up fodder for the Mega Blade. Doesn't deal with the Zygarde 10% anyways. Doesn't really deal with Mew, although it probably would have been my best Mew canter. Rotom Frost had a good matchup. It had a really good matchup. Electric plus Ice is great coverage, and I was very much considering an Icy MZ set this week, but I opted not to bring it. Pangoro, I also thought was good because of Bullet Punch for the Alolan Ninetales, can catch it off guard while it tries to set up a Veil, or Moonblast me and whatnot. It ended up being kind of status fodder, and he's got decent fairy coverage on some of his mons. Like I said, I think he will have the Dazzling Gleam on the Circuitry rather than the HP Ice, because he can just run like T-Bolt, Dazzling Gleam, Energy Ball, and Volt Switch, and he's set. So that'd be a decent Scarf or an Assault Vest set on the Circuitry there. So that's going to be it for me, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you guys for the match.